Good afternoon, everyone. So before I start with talking to you about the preparation of the exam and everything, I would like to give a brief introduction as sir has already introduced me. I am Garima. I've secured All India Rank 2 this year. I am a BCom graduate from Kirorimal College, University of Delhi. I graduated in 2020 and then I started to prepare for the examination. I took my first prelims in 2021 and I failed the prelims. Then I sat for the second attempt in 2022 and I got through the prelims, mains and the interview. I hope you people have seen my mark sheet. If not, I'll just briefly go through. I got 187 in the interview, 131 in the essay paper, and I got a 131 in GS paper 2 and a 141 in the ethics paper. Okay, so let's start with the basic preparation. I am sure you people are aware of the different stages of the examination, the prelims, the mains and the interview. Let's first start with the prelims, then we can go about with the mains. Does that work? Okay. So for the prelims, we have two papers, GS paper 1 and GS paper 2, which is the CSAT paper. GS paper 1, you people have been reading a lot, I am sure, but we'll also today focus on the CSAT paper, which is the reason why I could not qualify in my first attempt. And so let's talk about paper 1. So I'll just go through my basic book list, which I used, and it can be I am sure you people have known the resources because it's very common, everyone goes through it. But I'll just say it on my own so that you have a commitment towards that you have to go through those books. So starting first is polity. I did the basic Lakshmikant book for polity. So when you start preparing polity, if you first pick up Lakshmikant and you find difficulty in reading the book, only then go about doing NCERTs. Many a time people say that it's a norm to go through the NCERTs of 6 to 12, but I'll say just save your time and depending on your strength and weakness, analyze. Some of you might have gone through these subjects at your +2 level in your graduation. Do not pick up 6th, 7th NCERTs then and trying to waste your time. Only if you have not gone through those subjects, it has been a long lost time since you have got in touch with those subjects, try to go through them again. Otherwise, it's okay. Lakshmikant has to be done cover to cover and has to be done very enthusiastically. Note making for books like these, I would not suggest because it's a book in which every line becomes important if you look at the format in which the book is written. And if you people have the Lakshmikant, you'll see if you turn the chapter, when the chapter gets over, there's a yellow colored box in the end, which has certain notes and references given back to the chapter. It talks about certain constitutional amendments that have introduced it or has some clarifications. Only once go through this, once when you're reading the chapter, highlight whatever is important or just take a sticky note, write it, go back and write it in the main chapter itself so that you don't have to go through it again. But do it once because some facts become very important from that also. And then keep revising Lakshmikant as many times as you can because it is the holy grail for your prelims. Okay, and the Lakshmikant also in the end has certain portion of analysis for mains which we ignore that when mains will come we will read, we will not read it now. Trust me, it does not take more than 5 to 10 minutes. Please do give it a read even while you are preparing for pre because when you come through the main stage you will not find a lot of time to go through the basic books again and at that point of time your passive memory will recollect. So just go through it once and a better understanding, so a better integrated approach of both prelims and mains helps you also in your prelims. And if you look at the paper today of prelims, you will realize that analytical portion becomes very important. Your applied knowledge becomes important, not just what you learn, the basic facts. So go through that. The second would be economics. So polity constitutes about 18 questions, which is a huge margin. And the second would be economics. For prelims especially, I did not revise the last two pillars, the pillar 5 infrastructure and the HRD portion. If you have time, I would definitely suggest you go through it, but because I found it very difficult to go through the entire pages, so I just went through the first 4 pillars and do it very religiously and also do the updates of that because I think that is more than enough. But if you are a beginner in economics and you still find it very difficult, then you can go through the 11th and 12th micro and macroeconomics NCERTs. Otherwise, those notes are more than sufficient. Okay, the third subject would be, I think, environment. So there are a lot of sources in the market again in environment. In my first attempt, I did refer some other books, or otherwise if you're taking coaching and if you have some classroom notes, I would say stick to that notes and only keep adding on. to those notes. Do not go for multiple sources. This is one thing that you will keep hearing from day one. Even when I heard toppers saying do not see multiple sources, so I always felt, why do not see multiple sources? I will cover this also, that also. Trust me, it becomes very difficult to revise everything, and if you have not revised anything multiple times, it becomes very difficult to recollect. It's as good as you have not read it once. So do not do that mistake. This is for environment. For geography, so I was a person not very strong at geography. I found it very difficult reading geography. So if you see in geography in prelims, there are hardly 5 to 6 questions that come. Do not waste a lot of time. If you are one person who is not very comfortable with geography, do not waste a lot of time doing geography. You can invest that time in doing polity or economics or even CSAT, but not geography. And if you are comfortable doing geography, you can do whatever notes you do, but the NCERTs in geography are a must. Do it line by line, it's very important, and the mapping along with it becomes very important. So apart from the river drainage, Indian rivers, they are the most important mapping. If you have seen in the last 3 years, a lot of questions have been coming from that. Even the lesser known rivers, like let's say Subarnarekha or Brahmani, these rivers have also become very important. So do the river drainage portion on your own. Check out any random YouTube videos which will help you go through the course, everything about it. But just go through the river drainage part very enthusiastically, very correctly. Then apart from it, I think the next subject would be science and tech. So in my first attempt, I did not do science and tech because I thought I am a student who belongs to commerce background. I have lost touch of science ever since 10th standard. I don't even remember what is the formula of force, acceleration, anything. So I thought I will not do it. But it was a mistake. If you look at the number of questions from science, it's around 10 to 12. And it can be easily solved. The science questions which are coming are all applied, practical, and it is not someone that only a science background student is able to do. Trust me, if I have been able to do science questions, you can easily do it. So don't underestimate yourself in science and make sure you do them. So the science portion can be divided into 2 parts. One is your biotechnology portion, which consists of 5 to 6 questions. And the other will be apart from biotechnology, the quantum technology, the space, defense, IT, whatever questions are asked. So I address both of them. The first portion is the biotechnology and the health and diseases portion. For that, I referred a book, but this is a complete disclaimer. I did not go through the book cover to cover. I only did 60 pages from that book. It's a 500-page thick book. It's Essentia. It's from Unique Publications. I think it's a black-colored book. So it is more than 500 pages, but only the biotech portion you have to do. Only 60 pages out of it. It covers basics about what is a cell, what are the functions a cell performs, cell organelle, and then the applied portions, the 3-parent baby, pro-nuclear transfer, bio-ink, 3D printing, these topics which have been repeatedly asked is covered in the book in notes and notes format. So it's very easy to go through that and understand that. So you can do those 60 pages, but if you have notes for biotechnology and you think you are able to solve the questions which have been coming in the prelims, then you can stick to your basic notes only. But if you do not have a source for it, then you can look up to this book. The book also has a portion on health and diseases. So it talks about the different diseases. Is it a bacterial disease, a viral disease? And I think these questions have been repeatedly been asked. And apart from this, what test is conducted? Does it have a vaccine? What type of a vaccine is it? What are the different deficiency diseases? These topics are also covered in that. It can be done from there only. And then for the other part, which is the quantum technology part, you can pick up any annual compilation in the market, any annual compilation that covers all of these science and tech portion, and do not focus on the basic words and details, but rather the concept. What is quantum technology? What are the words associated with it? Superposition, quantum entanglement. These words are to be understood in simple language. We do not have to be a scientist here. Even I found it very difficult. But just understand it in basic words, that if a question is asked, you are able to answer it. And understand it in very simple words and not just the lines of it that chalo usko rat lete and then let's see, we'll solve it. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to understand it. For that, you can use animated videos online. For biotech, the videos of TED-Ed on YouTube, they are very nice. If you look up a video of TED-Ed on CAR T-cell therapy, you will be able to understand it in 3 minutes. So those videos you can use. Those videos will remain in your permanent memory. I think the next would be history. So for history, ancient history, I did the R.S. Sharma book, and I made notes out of it. So for books like Lakshmikant, environment and economics, I did not make notes because those subjects contribute around 18 questions each. So I wanted to go through them again and again on my own. But for books like ancient history, which I had a little lower interest in studying, and so I did make notes out of it. So on A4 sheets, you can make notes. Let's say Indus Valley Civilization, write everything down in 2 pages, and whatever you get from other previous year questions, etc., you add it in those notes only. Medieval history, I could not do. I did not do medieval history in my first or in my second attempt. I did not get the time to. But I have seen my other friends, they have done Satish Chandra. And you can also do any compilation in the market. So my mindset was that it is hardly 5 to 6 questions, chalo dekh lenge. But if you have time, please do. Please go through it. And for modern history, I did Spectrum, what everyone does. I did it cover to cover. I think till the chapter on working class movement has to be done for prelims. And I try to learn every fact. The dates have also become important. In fact, if you see the Quit India movement, the date of that, today boycott resolution, the date of that. So if you read it very, making a chronology of it, you will be able to remember and actively recall. I think, is there any other subject for prelims which is left? Current affairs, right? Okay, so current affairs. This is a misnomer that we keep on giving so much focus on current affairs. This is one mistake I did in my first attempt. I gave at least 6 hours a day to current affairs, and it is not worth it. Give as much time as you can to your static. Make your static very strong. Polity, economics, environment, science, make it very strong. And even if on the worst day you have a very random paper from all the random current affairs, you will be still able to get through the paper, only on the basis of your static. So your first priority should be that my static becomes very strong. Only then, whatever remaining time I get, maybe 2 hours in the day, I'll give it to current affair. Don't become a current affair material collector in the market. If you go through, and this was a blessing that I did not stay in ORN, I did not stay in Karol Bagh, because otherwise I would also have left, been living in that FOMO. Oh, acha ye material nahi kiya, acha this new material came in the market, ye bhi acha, ye bhi le lete hain. No. So I never could see all these materials, and that is why I never referred to it. So I think it's good to turn a blind eye and just walk straight on that road, not see here, not see there, don't see any material, and trust on your own material, trust on whatever coaching you have taken, on whatever basic sources you are referring, and not become a material collector. You will never be able to revise all of them, and it's useless. So don't do it, just do one material, whatever you are doing. Achha, many people, what they do in the first attempt, let's say they took an attempt and then referred to a coaching material or any compilation, and questions did not come from that. They'll change it next year. It's a luck. Nobody knows which material, and it's not that UPSC picks up questions from any material. You need to trust your source and just stick to one source, whatever font or thing you're comfortable doing, you can do that. Then let's come to CSAT. CSAT had been a nightmare for me in my first attempt. So everyone told me it's just 66 marks, it's just 35 questions, and you will be able to do it. So what I did, I just picked up 3 previous year questions, I solved them, I got 78-80 in the tests, and I went on to give my CSAT paper. I got 65, but I failed. I failed in the CSAT paper, and it was very difficult for me. I think I attempted 5 questions, reasoning and maths included, that's it. And I think 2 out of them would have been correct. I was this weak in mathematics and reasoning because I had lost touch of all of those subjects. So I devoted a lot of time in CSAT next year, and this year I got some 79 point something, not a very good score, but I got saved. So what I did for CSAT is that divide it into 2 parts, reasoning and maths and reading comprehension. Now reading comprehension has been my strong point. Even this year I attempted 33 questions of reading and none of them were wrong. Reading comprehension, do it only when you're very confident, otherwise till the last day when your prelims results are not out, you will be in a dilemma whether you have cleared your prelims or not. If you're good in maths and reasoning, even then if you have been a very nice engineer, IIT, IIM, please practice. Just practice 5 or 6 papers. I have seen my friends who are very good in maths, exceptionally good, still they have managed to get 80, 90, and they have that constant stress. Practice CSAT. It also makes you very, it also refreshes you during the day. You have been reading ancient history and modern history, and then you go back and do some mathematics. It refreshes you. So do that. Practice CSAT every day, I would say. Divide it into reasoning, maths, and the reading comprehension portion. And you do not need to pick up very difficult parts. For those people who did not have maths, you do not need to pick up permutation, combination, or mensuration. The chapters you have not done, don't do it now. Do chapters like ratio, proportion, percentage, age. These are very easy to do. You find it difficult only because you have the initial inertia to not do it. Once you start doing it, you get very interested in doing that. And the reasoning is very, very interesting. It's very interesting. You do all of those blood relations, syllogisms, and for that, you can also refer to YouTube videos. All of those competition videos that come, they teach you some tricks to solve it in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You can go through them also. And in reading comprehension, the most important thing is PYQ. And in fact, in the entire prelims, the most important thing is PYQ. Again, in my first attempt, I did not have the time to do PYQ, but in my second attempt, I did PYQ. I made PYQ a separate subject, and I did it so extensively. So how I did that, suppose I'm studying polity, so I would go through the PYQ of economics, so that I have a touch with 2 subjects at once, and not just doing polity and then PYQ of polity, because that makes it very monotonous for you. But do PYQs. If not from 1980s, 70s, do it at least from 2001. Do it from 2001, 20-year PYQ. Also do the options. So everyone has been talking, I also saw it in Topper Talks and everyone, that you need to analyze the other options also, because those other options help you in eliminating the other options in examination. So you can do that also. I think that is it for prelims. Do you want me to talk about anything else for prelims? Okay, let's do mains. Let's get to mains then. So in mains, the first paper is the essay paper, and I feel people have been scared of essay a lot, but I was one person who used to write a lot of essays in my school days also. But even if you have not been writing essays, the best way to prepare for essay is solving and writing previous year UPSC essays. That's it. No other essay can match the level of the UPSC essays. So just take out paper from 2017 onwards. Each paper has 8 essays, 4 and 4. You write, you must be having groups, friends, 2 to 3 friends. So we were a group of 3 friends, and we wrote essays on every alternate Sunday, and we wrote essay. We used to peer review the essay. You can do that. Essay cannot be prepared in one day or just between prelims and mains. Let's say if you're attempting the next 2024, you have one complete year. Every alternate day, write an essay. It takes 1.5 hours only, and it will be a good exercise. And only attempt the UPSC essay papers. Once you have attempted, you have peer reviewed, then you can take any reference material from the market. People would have put up online essays that they would want to write, and just collect some material from that. If you find a very good anecdote in that, some very interesting quote in that, you write it down in an online sheet or whatever mode you prefer, online or offline. You write it down and make themes of it. Let's say education. You've collected themes of very good anecdotes and essays for education, for health, for tolerance, for poverty, for women, etc. So collect it in that thematic manner and keep revising it. So you do it for 1 month, and you will see the quality of essay that you write will consistently go on improving. And on the day of the essay, you will not have to worry. Also, for example, I'll give you an example of how I attempted essay. This year, there was a question of in the essay about forests are the best case studies for economic excellence. This was one of the case study that was asked. So I started it with writing, of giving an example that how a bamboo plant, when it grows, it has a very small shoot at the top of it, and it does not grow for around 2 to 3 years, and then straight away it becomes very tall at once. So I linked it with how the capital formation in an economy or the investment in an economy works. So you will not see the fruits of it very soon. For 2 to 3 years, you will feel that you are only investing money, pumping in a lot of money, but then you will start to see it all at once. When you reap the benefits out of it. So this is how I connected, and this can only be done when you have practiced a lot of UPSC essays. So do that. Only that would help you. I'll also write a detailed strategy on essay, and I'll share it with you people. You can go through that. GS1. GS1 is one of the most scoring because it's clearly bifurcated into art and culture, history, society, geography. How I prepared these subjects were, you take a printout of the syllabus and each and every word should be covered. So what you can do for them, for example, for culture, you've already went through culture in your prelims, but this time try to focus on, for mains, try to focus on diagrams for the culture portion. Even for history, you have gone through spectrum, you do not have to go through anything new. But if you see the book of spectrum, there are boxes in which quotes are mentioned, a lot of quotes. Try to learn 5 or 6 of them, which can be universally used. For example, you can have a quote on how the British government did the drain of wealth. There are a lot of quotes, and if you can remember who gave the quote, it's well and good. So you can remember 5 or 6 of the quotes, and whatever modern history answers you write, you can either begin with a quote or end with a quote. It only adds an element that you have put an extra effort in your answer and makes it more personalized, because otherwise everyone else is writing the content given in spectrum, but you are using spectrum in an optimal manner. So I think that would help you. Apart from this, there was in GS1, what else do you have? Society. Society, again, you can use any material that is available in the market. So you can go through the basic material, but society, you have to make it very dynamic. Society can become very static, but you have to add that element in your answer. So between prelims and mains, we often neglect newspapers. We do not read newspapers, and it's okay if you do not read newspapers. Even if you use social media, everyone uses that Instagram every day. You see a lot of news coming up in that only while scrolling. For example, I remember between my prelims and mains, there was Sudha Chandran ma'am had to remove her prosthetic leg and get it checked separately through the security check at the airport, and it was all over in the news that how our infrastructure is not specially abled friendly. So this thing stuck with me, and then when there was the paper of GS2, there was a question about how our infrastructure how the government and the infrastructure needs to become specially abled friendly. I started it with this example, with this anecdote, and it clearly fit the context, and I did not have to explain it any further because it very clearly capturized and summarized what I wanted to say. So even if you are reading social media, if you are going through wasting your time on that, subscribe to all those news channels in that. Probably do that. So even if you are going through that 30 minutes, it will be utilized. You can do that. And these examples, these anecdotes are very, very useful. So even if between your prelims and mains, you do not get time to do the newspaper thing, you can use all of these materials. In GS1, you also have geography portion. We often tend to only write geography answers in that. But what I did extra in that, I added an element of environment also in that, in the end. For example, if there is a question about the cryosphere and you're writing all of that in that, the troposphere, you in the end, the way forward, you also mention about the environmental challenges in that question. So that only makes your answer very comprehensive. And your answer has to be clearly templated into introduction, your body, conclusion, and way forward. I used a bullet point format. I used 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of making arrows and writing just bullet points, I think 1, 2, 3, 4 is better because the examiner also gets a clear idea that, okay, you have mentioned 5 points in advantages, 5 in disadvantages. Makes it easier, makes his work easier. So you can go through that also, okay? Then we can come to GS2. Is there anything else in GS1 left? Okay. So we'll go through GS2. In GS2, you can broadly divide it into polity, governance, then we have the international relations and social justice portion. So for polity and governance, polity you can again go through the Lakshmikant once again, but the analytical portion has to be done more enthusiastically. And any compilation of GS2 from the market, any source you can refer to. Why am I saying that? Because you need to quote case laws now. And if you look at last year's paper, till before last year I did not get a lot of focus on case law, but last year there were direct questions on cite case laws from Representation of People Act, cite case laws for this, cite case law for that. So it's given in Lakshmikant also, but we ignore it, that it would never be asked in prelims, but you have to remember those case laws. And if you do a conscious practice, it will come to your head. You will start remembering, oh, this was the thing clarified in Lily Thomas case, or this was the thing clarified in Rangnath Mishra case, or whatever. And in polity, committees become very important. Even if you do not remember the exact recommendations, you need to remember a particular committee is associated with what. So you can just give a passing reference to committee. So I had this idea in mind that in every answer, I'll at least mention one committee or one commission. In my way forward, what they have suggested, I'll definitely mention one anecdote, one example of real life that I have been seeing, and I will definitely give some suggestions or way forwards and try and end it with a quote. For example, in GS1 answers or in ethics answers also, if I did not have a lot of time, you do not have to quote very 4-line broad quotes that you cannot mug up. You simply can quote as simple as ecology is the permanent economy. I think I use this quote in 1, 2, 3 and 4 everywhere. So I think what I did was not writing it in every answer, but in one paper you can also write it twice maybe. You can use that, so you can do that. For the governance portion, I think you need to have clarity on every topic, what accountability actually is, what transparency actually is, the Right to Information Act. So after you have done the basics by any material, whatever you want to follow, you need to again go through the example. So if your subject mentions Citizen Charter, you need to just Google it and see the status of implementation of Citizen Charter in some states. And then you can find that maybe some state has taken a very remarkable way forward in that, maybe made citizen charters available in the vernacular languages also. So that becomes a context of beginning your answer. That if there is a question on citizen charter, you can directly start by saying that recently this government has made citizen charter available in vernacular. So this is the way forward. This is the template that other states can replicate. Because recent context also makes your work easier. If you have to write an answer in 7 minutes straight, everything needs to be here in your brain. You do not have to think that, oh, I'll start with a very nice quote. Trust me, it will not come to your mind because of the paucity of time. You need to have these very quick tricks and things on your tips that you can use it as soon as you start writing your answer. Then in GS2, you have the IR part, international relations part. So IR had been something which I was interested in from very beginning when I started this preparation. So for IR, I used to go through, there are YouTube videos of Shekhar Gupta sir, you can go through that. It's just something I did while having my dinner. I just went through the analysis that he said. And sometimes I used to quote what he said in the paper because he gives a lot of references. So you can do that. Or IR, you can refer to some basic material also. For IR, what I did Dipin sir's current affair classes. And I think nothing beyond his notes for IR I did refer. So you can also, if you have taken classes from him or if you gone through his notes, you can stick to those for IR. They are very interesting, and he gives you the correct format of writing any IR answer, of including small maps. For example, if there is a question on India-Sri Lanka relations, how much time does it take to draw a Sri Lanka? India and Sri Lanka, maximum 30 seconds. Just do it and it will make your answer very enriching. For GS1 also, practice world map. You have to be so expert in making world map that you make it in 1 minute, in just half of a sheet. I think you can make it in every question. There is a question on distribution of resources. You can easily make a world map on ocean currents. Everywhere you can make a world map. It makes your work easier and also saves you some time because half of your page is gone in making the diagram, and it has also done all the work for you. So you have to be very well versed with making a map of India in 1 minute, making the world map in a minute, all of that. Then we can come to GS3. In GS3, we spend a lot of time doing economics, but I think in GS3, the other portions are also very scoring. For example, security. Security is very, very scoring. Apart from the basic notes that I did from the market, you can also go through IDSA website. It has a lot of excellent articles on the security issues prevalent in our country, and it also gives you a perspective of the government on those security issues. So it has a lot of good articles coming up every weekend. You can go through those articles. And ORF is also a website that I sometimes refer to. You can also go through that. Now these preparations cannot be done only in that 3 months of mains, and you can utilize your time before your prelims result comes out, pre and mains. That 20-day when you are in a dilemma whether I'm going to clear prelims or not, use it to make a good example notebook, that you have everything on your hand, that I'll use this for GS1, this for 2, this for 3 and 4. Again in GS3, so economics, you can use whatever material you want. Security becomes important, disaster management becomes important, and environment is important. Again in science, people start reading something else for science, but if you look at last year's paper and even last year's paper, you will see whatever you have read for prelims would suffice for mains also. So what material you referred for pre, go back to it again and revise it once again. It will be easier for you because you have already done it just 3 months ago. Just do it once again. That's it. Now we come to GS4. I think I got a 141 in GS4, and I did take a lot of effort for GS4. Probably it was one of the favorite subjects. It was lovely studying GS4, so I invested a lot of time in that, and you can also maybe take some help from whatever I did. So what I did for GS4 is that I used a lot of examples from the epics, the Ramayana, Mahabharata. For example, whenever there is a case study which talks about the last mile delivery or reaching the most underprivileged people, I used quote like how Lord Ram, when the Ram Setu bridge was being made by the monkeys, a small squirrel helped with whatever might she could, and Lord Ram was a lot impressed with that. So, which shows the contribution of even the smallest, tiniest being in this world, and how important it is to include every person in your decision, in your policy making. So, this is one very example we have always read, we have always listened it from our family members, from our elders, but we often tend to forget it. So, if you have not, even if you have not gone through Ramayana, Mahabharata, I am not telling you to go through it. Even if you Google life lessons from Ramayana or ethics lessons from Ramayana, you will get a list of 30-40 lessons. Just read it. Maybe you are traveling, maybe you're just in the washroom scrolling your phone. Just read it, just go through it, and you will get a lot of inputs from that. There are excellent examples from Ramayana and Mahabharata that I'll share with you also. From Mahabharata also you will see, again in Ramayana I remember one more example. Lord Ram asked Lakshman to learn the art of warfare from Ravana, and also how spiritual he was. So even if you can learn a lot of things from your enemy, how the art of learning is not restricted, never restricted. You have always to be on the learning curve, and even your enemies provide you a lot of ground for that. And for a question on women's dignity and empowerment, you can always quote Mahabharata, how when Kauravas tried to rebuke the dignity of Draupadi, the war took place for righteousness. So you can quote those examples. These would be very interesting. For ethics, also what I did, there is a YouTube channel which is called the School of Life. They have some 3-minute, 4-minute videos, not more than that, and it has very extensive videos on ethics theory. Not everything, but just 1 or 2 liners from that this particular theory says that this and this. You can quote that also. For ethics, also collect a lot of examples of excellent work done by senior IAS officers or people in every field. You can get a collection of all those examples in, let's say, the Better India. These are some magazines where you will get these examples at one place. Even in the Hindustan Times, I think there is a column which talks about the tree of life. You can get its compilations. It has a lot of sayings and lessons related to ethics. So you will have to take a little effort in ethics. I think it will take 5 days of your entire time, but it will give you an edge of about 20-30 marks. For the case study in ethics, do not follow a mechanical approach. Ki har question mein you made that stakeholder. It does not work that way. So think about the examiner. He has been checking so many copy, reading every answer mein stakeholder. He learned all the stakeholders now. Don't use that stakeholder approach every answer. Maybe in 1 or 2 case study you can use the stakeholder approach, but try to follow your own pattern. Make it a little different. And in the case study, try to provide everything for every stakeholder, something for every stakeholder, even if it's a very minute stakeholder. Just write 1 line for that person also, so that everyone gets a say in it. And use the theories that you have learned for writing in the first 10 answers, the utilitarian theory, the Kantian philosophy, everything. You can use it in your case study also. Why not? Here, while you're taking decision in a case study, you might have thought something, you are taking decision based on that theory, write it down. That based on this philosophy also, even Gita talks about Nishkam Karma or whatever. So if you think there are basic lessons that you have read, let's say you have read Vajpayee ji's book, or you have read some good author, Vivekanand quote, you write it. They were quotes, we used to write it in our 6th and 7th assembly classes. We remember it by heart, but you do not use it. Use the preamble. use fundamental duty, use DPSP in your ethics answer. These are things that you know by heart. You do not have to make any extra effort. You just need to use it. I don't know why we are very hesitant in using the knowledge of other papers in other papers. It can always be done. GS2 would come to the rescue of GS4 a lot. So this is it I did for the mains. Shall we move to the interview stage? Optional? Okay. So first of all, decision of optional. I think most of you must have decided your optional till yet. If you have not, for optional what I did was that before deciding my optional, see I was jumping into a world which was all new to me. All the UPSC subjects, because I took 11th and 12th commerce, I never read about these polity or geography apart from class 10th. After that I never went through it. So everything was new to me. So in that I decided that I should have a subject with which I am at least familiar. That is why I took commerce. And if you people have the option of that, you can first try and go with that subject with which you are familiar, but not take a subject which is very huge, which will capture all your time and you will not have any time to prepare for the GS. Don't do that. I know optional is important. You need to get people say you need to get 320, 330. I got a 275 in my optional, but my score in GS is better. So you have to take that call that you want to invest all your time doing optional or you also want time for your GS. Apart from this, availability of good material is very important in optional. You need to check that. So if someone has an optional, like let's say some engineering, I'm not very aware of the material availability, but people who do not take that as an optional always complain that they do not have good material available. So you need to look for that. Good material should be available. And third thing is your interest in the subject. You will have to at least spend 30 days revising your optional between prelims and mains. If you are not interested in your optional, if you are only doing it for the marks, you will not be able to do good in it. It's very difficult. It's easier said than done that you people go and ask some mentor that what optional should I take, and based on the trend analysis of years, people will tell you, "Acha, commerce mein to marks nahi aa rahe, don't take commerce." Or for, like, I'm not promoting my optional, but just that ki isme marks nahi aa rahe, don't take that optional, don't. Take your own decision, take a conscious decision that I have to invest so much time in studying my optional. Will I be comfortable doing it? Will I be happy studying my optional? Studying happily is very important. People don't focus it until and unless you don't enjoy your preparation. It's a waste of time. Even if you have given your 3 to 4 years of preparation and you have been enjoying it, you are not regretting it, it's good. Even if you have not been able to clear it, it's very good because you have learned so much out of those 3-4 years. So take a subject that interests you and you think you can do justice to it. Okay. So this is it about optional. Every optional will have paper 1 and paper 2. If anyone has commerce optional, I'll put up a different video altogether and I'll help you with that. I don't think anyone has a commerce optional here. Okay, I'll definitely make a strategy video and upload it for you people. Okay, so it has paper 1 and paper 2, and all through your mains, answer writing becomes very important. I did not realize the importance of answer writing before I cleared my second prelims and I had to give mains. I had not written one single answer till then, but don't do it. You have to practice answer writing, and I generally see the way in which people practice answer writing is, "Acha, abhi to we'll finish it in 5 hours, but in the exam we'll do it in 3 hours. Now my focus is to finish the paper, to upload it or to get it checked, get good marks, and then I'll try to do it in 3 hours in exam." No. You attempt 16 questions, attempt 15 questions in the beginning, but do it in 3 hours. I used to give the tests at my home itself. I used to put a timer of 3 hours, and I did not even take the 5-minute reading time. I did it initially, I could do only 14 questions. Then I started increasing 1 question at a time, and only the last paper, 1 paper which I gave before my mains, I could complete. So at least I had that confidence that I'll be able to complete the mains paper. I think completing the papers is a prerequisite. You have to do it, it's unavoidable. And it's not important that you fill all the pages. That filling pages thing works in your graduation, it does not work here. You have to write good quality content, and if you are confident on your content, trust me, filling pages does not work. If you have to fill pages, try and remember some diagrams, some maps that you can use to fill those pages, but not otherwise. Okay, this is for optional. I'll just briefly go through interview stage because I think it's not very relevant right now for you people. For your interview stage, I think your DAF works. The whatever DAF is a form that you have to fill for your interview preparation, in which you will write all your basic details. That has to be done very thoroughly and very comprehensively. The second stage would be current affairs. Reading 2 or 3 newspapers, let's say if you belong to economics or commerce. I read also 1 business newspaper. So 3 newspapers per day is to read. And apart from this, YouTube videos like some discussions, the Sunset TV videos, they are very interesting, very informative. I used to watch them. Or the Shekhar Gupta sir's IR discussion. You can watch those videos, and peer discussions with seniors who have already cleared the exam. They would provide you a perspective on how the same answer that you also know has to be communicated more effectively, so that you project yourself as displaying the values of a civil servant. That is very important, and that you can fine tune with the help of mock interviews. That helps to fine line everything. See, current affairs, initially you will have to read newspapers. I read newspapers in the very beginning, but for people who find it difficult reading newspaper in the beginning, it will take you 2 to 3 hours, and it's justified because it will give you a 360-degree understanding of what you are going into. It will have, maybe you have started with only polity, but the newspaper also has news from IR, from economics. So you'll also have to Google a lot. Back then, when I started in 2020, I had to keep Googling. I used to read a newspaper in 5 hours. But your 1 month, you will see it's a complete waste. What did I do? I only did a newspaper. But I think that initial base and that interest becomes very important. But don't fall into the trap of making notes from newspapers. I'm sure whoever has made notes of newspaper has never revised it. You have made bundles of notes and kept it somewhere, but never touched them again, because I did not. I made notes for 2 months, and those copies I've never opened. So don't do note making. If you are so interested in note making from notes, note making only for mains, which is if you get a very interesting case study from, let's say, Brazil or somewhere, in which, let's say, the drainage system has been working in a very nice manner, it has got praise from everywhere, write it down somewhere in the relevant section, so that you can make use of it. Note making has to be very intelligent, and not just writing it on a page that you are not able to find at the time of your requirement. Divide it in some online or offline format, divide it into GS 1, 2, 3, 4, and write it only at the relevant place. So one newspaper you can do every day. I think in the end it starts to take you around 40 minutes to 1 hour. There are, even on the Waljiram portal, every day in the morning, the important articles that you need to read gets uploaded. Stick to that. Don't look here and there. But if you are very interested, for example, very interested in IR, I used to read the entire IR page. You can do that, but not more than 10 minutes extra on that. That's it.
At this initial stage, should we go for Yojana and Kurukshetra?
In the initial stages, I was not aware what is Yojana, what is Kurukshetra. I could not read them, but later on I saw all the fellow aspirants reading Yojana, Kurukshetra. I think it can be done, but again in a very limited manner. So what you can go through is, I think, give only maximum 2.5 hours to Yojana. Just underline whatever seems important to you and keep that addition aside. Or just extract whatever. For example, in January there was an edition on millets. I think it's an important theme, and you know that it's an important theme, only then pick it up. Not every edition of Yojana, not every edition of Kurukshetra. Don't just blindly follow material. You know your syllabus by heart. Learn your syllabus by heart. And if you think, oh, this directly, if there is an edition on maritime policy, you know that maritime security is important in your GS3, just get that material and collect only that portion that you think you will write in that answer on that day and come back. Only if you can make use of it, go through another materials, or don't waste your time.
Ma'am, what kept you motivated and disciplined in your class?
So it's a very common question, everybody asks this. If you are only getting into the service for a certain amount of respect that you want in the society, or because your friends and family have been doing it, you will not be able to motivate, you will not be able to stay motivated. Or if there is someone, your mother or father, who has to tell you every morning that, "Uth jao beta, now start studying, abhi hua nahi tumhara, don't sleep," no. So it's a very cliche thing that your dreams are not the one that you see while sleeping, but the ones that doesn't let you sleep. And I strongly believe in that. I could not sleep if I have not completed my entire syllabus for the day. You need to be self-motivated. Why you want to be a civil servant has to be there, ingrained in your heart, that this is the thing that motivates me. This is the vision that I see poor people who I want to help, or I want to change contribute whatever I can in my capacity. Self-motivation is the biggest thing. No one else can motivate you. So you have to have that reason very clear in your mind and keep reminding yourself every night before you sleep that it's my own decision. My parents have not forced me to be a civil servant and I have to study on my own. People should have to come to pull you back, stop you, ki ab ho gaya, ab so jao na, sleep, and not the other way around.
At what time you stop reading the newspaper?
So I could not read the newspaper between prelims and mains because I had not done answer writing. My optional was left unfinished. I could not get the time, but till you give your prelims, 2 months before your prelims, you can actually stop reading the paper if you think you are taking a lot of time in that. But till then, I think one newspaper a day you should do, definitely do.
Ma'am, what you did for your art and culture portion?
For art and culture, I did Nitin Singhania sir's book. You can do that book, but not all the chapters. So there are certain chapters on cultural institutions, I did not do that. Certain chapters on fairs, festivals, I did not do that. Only the important chapters. For example, architecture, painting, theatre, dance, music. I did these chapters, very important. Literature and language, Buddhism and Jainism, Bhakti and Sufi. These are the chapters which you have to do selectively, and not every line in that book is important. I did not do. You cannot mug up all the facts from that book. It's very heavy. But art and culture is an interesting subject. If you revise, for example, I made a schedule that I'll revise one chapter of culture every day. It took me 20-30 minutes, and I could have been in a constant touch with culture. But for mains, you will have to refer to the diagrams that you can find in the market. You can find any notes. For mains, they will provide you sufficient diagrams. You have to use those diagrams. Yeah. So he's asking what should be the duration of the current affair that you should cover. I think it's an important question. If your prelims is in May, I think 1 year before that, or maximum 1.5 year before that. That is it. Don't start doing current affairs from 2005. It will not work. Just do it maximum 1.5 years pehle se. And the other question was?
And the spectrum, that is subject should be really keeping on the most priority.
Right. In prelims, your priority should be polity, economics, environment, science and tech, and then maybe history, and then geography, and then current affairs. Note making. Note making for mains, I think it's different for everyone, but note making becomes very important because you need to have pointers on every topic. Even in security, if there is a line which says linkages between organized crime and terrorism, I think there was a direct question on that, and you could have aced it easily if you had a 2-pager note on that. So make sure that every line you have a note, and once you have made your notes, don't make it in a notebook which you cannot update. So always leave spaces in between. For example, if you made notes today and you have your paper next year in September, whatever current affair you read throughout in this 1.5 year, you add on to that only. You will have all your notes at one place and you will be able to use it and revise it then and there.
Ma'am, is it essential to do newspaper and current affair magazine simultaneously at one point?
I think those people who do not read newspaper, for them current affair magazine is a very good thing. You can just go through that. But trust me, if you do newspapers, you will get a lot of advantage in terms of improving your communication for the interview round, in terms of your essay writing, your analytical skill. And why does it not interest you to do the newspaper? I mean, trust me, give it a try. Read newspaper for 20 days. You will be addicted to reading newspapers. I mean, I personally could not start my day without reading a paper.
Should we do current affair magazine accordingly, simultaneously?
Yes. If you are not making notes of newspaper, just don't make notes of newspaper. Read the newspaper, and then in the end, in the month end, you can go through the current affair magazine. And because you have just read the newspaper the entire month, you'll also be very well versed with whatever is there in the magazine. So the magazine is only a revision of yours. And it's not one another subject that you have to sit and cry and do. Okay? Any other? Essay and CSAT. For essay, the source, I did not use any source material. You do use the UPSC PYQ essays. Very important. Pick it up from whatever year, 2016, 17. In your group of 2 or 3, or if you have good mentors, you share it with them, ask their inputs on that. And read up. So if you Google the UPSC PYQ essay, you will find different coachings have provided you the solutions of that essay. You then, after you have solved it on your own, interpreted it on your own, you read those answers of them, and if you find something very interesting, some anecdote, some essay you would like to collect, you keep it at one place as your fodder material for essay. And for CSAT, I did not use any book. I only did the PYQ for reading comprehension, especially for reading comprehension. No book matches the level of comprehension of this. No CAT book, no nothing, no CLAT book, nothing. They are very different. Only UPSC PYQ, and also the official answer key of UPSC for CSAT reading comprehension. But for the maths and reasoning part, you can do it from anywhere. There are a lot of books that are available. You can refer to any. I only did it from some YouTube videos. Okay, so for NCERT, initially when I started, for polity, there is a book called Political Theory. I don't remember which class. I think it's 11th class. That book is very important. I made notes out of it. It has explanations of words like liberty, equality, state, and those words are being asked. You can make 5 to 6 pager notes of that, or you can just write the relevant part of it in your Lakshmikant only. If you look at my Lakshmikant, the one side which is blank, the left side it's all flooded with all the things that I have written. Try to make your one source very comprehensive. If you have to add a lot of things, use sticky note, just staple the pages inside, just make one note so that when you are revising that, it gets automatically revised. Otherwise, if you keep making note in separate beautiful notebooks, you will not be able to revise it at once. It's not an exam of making beautiful notes and then sharing it later on. Trust me, I had such badly compiled notes that only I could read it, and I have not been able to upload it even now. Make notes that work for you, nobody else. Make it the way you like.
What about other
See, for example, if you read ancient history, you read it once, just underline the important thing, then you will have to read the R.S. Sharma book also. When you read the R.S. Sharma book, after reading it, go through your NCERT again. If you still find some point has been left, write it in your R.S. Sharma. Come back and write it. Don't make 2 or 3 sources for one book. Do not do it.
How to reach the PYQs related to the topic, before completing the topic or after completing the topic?
See, the PYQs have to be done at least twice or thrice. So once you have read Lakshmikant for the first time, you have done with your polity and everything, then you pick up the PYQs of polity, you do it then only, and you have to do it in that book only. For whatever PYQ book you are referring, just make, if it has some notes written, the answers given to that, you underline it then and there. If there is some concept you did not understand, Google it, write a sticky note there, stick it there. And the other options also, for which there has been no mention. You Google it on your own, take an extra effort. It will take you one day, but it will be very helpful for you. The next time when you go through PYQs again, you will not have to do that extra effort again. You will have to only revise it. So PYQs have to be done for all the subjects, I think. And the PYQ of current affairs, you will be able to analyze that this PYQ was there only because it was in news last year. It's not relevant, so you need to skip that.
Ma'am, how to analyze previous year question papers?
The analysis of previous year question can only begin once you are done with your entire syllabus and once you have completed your entire subject. For example, Lakshmikant, if you have read all of it, only then you will be able to analyze that what questions have been asked from the book itself and what were inspired from it. So once you need to finish your basic syllabus and then you can analyze the PYQ.
And how to connect with syllabus and question papers after completing the whole syllabus first?
After you've completed the whole syllabus, you need to, let's say it's polity, then you have to go through both mains papers and the prelims paper for that. So first go through the prelims paper, and then before the main stage you can go through the mains paper. And I had friends who also on an Excel sheet they wrote answers for the mains PYQ, and there were questions that get repeated or themes that get repeated, so they were able to write exceptionally well answers to those questions. I could not do that, but you can definitely try doing that, because even if out of the 20 questions you get 3 questions that got repeated and you are scoring 7 out of 10 in that, it makes a huge difference.
While making my notes for subjects like the keyword that I mentioned in the papers, that what are the structure that I should follow? Like my answers would look like, would reflect in the answer.
Right.
So, and what are the sources I can follow for the main answer, like the correct sources or the static sources?
So for the sources, for the mains, for the current, I just refer to the PT365 mains of the different subjects, and it can be used interchangeably. For example, if you have read it for polity, it would also work for you in governance. And even if whatever material you have read for prelims, people generally, we ignore it, that it will not, it's a very random fact. Let's say some best award has been given to someone for a very nice CSR activity. Even if these random facts remember in your head, you can quote it somewhere. So while whatever you are studying, study it so religiously that you can use it over the period of your time. For example, in interview, you'll be asked questions which you have not prepared in the last 1 or 2 years. It's an amalgamation of whatever you have studied in last 2 years. So every day, you need to be honest with yourself that even if I did never put more than 7 to 8 hours, I could not study more than that. Whatever time you give has to be productive. For example, I used an app in my phone or tab, a focus app, or Pomodoro timer, any timer which blocks all the incoming calls and messages in your phone. It's very important these days. So block all the distractions, and 50 minutes ka you can take different sessions, and in the end of the day you can review that, oh, you studied 7.5 hours, 8 hours per day, and it has to be measured in terms of your outcome or your output. That today I was about to do 10 chapters of Lakshmikant, have I done that? And not in terms of 6 hours Lakshmikant, 2 hours Spectrum. No, it does not work that way.
I need to know about handwriting, ma'am. Do cursive writing really affects our score? Like that?
Legible, clear, legible handwriting would work, and even I do not write cursive writing. I cannot write cursive writing, but try to make your handwriting very clear, legible. I think that would look good. That would definitely give you an edge, because it makes the work of the examiner easy to just simply go through your answers very easily. Questions are coming out of the syllabus. I don't think there are questions out of the syllabus. Obviously, UPSC will surprise you one day or the other. I remember in last year when I was giving mains, I saw the paper of last year, and I saw a question on blue LED in science, and I was very shocked, and I was very depressed that how will I write the paper of science? I do not know anything, and then they're asking questions on blue LED. But if it's a surprise for you, it's a surprise for everyone. It's a relative examination, and you do not have a fixed cutoff that you have to clear. It's a relative cutoff. If it's difficult for you, it's difficult for everybody. So don't focus on those random 2-3 questions and get very sad about it. Focus on the questions that you could have done just depending on the basic resources, and in that you have to do exceptionally well. It's about, the mains is more about writing, let's say 6 or 7 answers exceptionally well, and doing average in others. Even if in 1 or 2 answers, for example, there were 1 or 2 questions that were very difficult in mains. There was a question on the election of French president and the president of India. I remember I wrote the answer on the election of president of India, and I did not know how the French president got elected. So I wrote the French president got indirectly elected, and I left the entire pages blank. So even if you do not know 1 or 2 answers, do not panic at all. There would be people who would not be knowing. There would be people who would have had PSI or optional and would have been interested in current, would have written it. But it's okay. You have to do well in the questions and subjects that you are well in. That's it.
It's the right time to start CSAT preparation if I'm not doing from right now.
Depends on how your current level of preparation for CSAT is, or how good you are in maths. If you are very weak in maths or reasoning, so just go through one PYQ paper of CSAT and solve it today. And solve it and look in what range you are falling. If you're falling below 70, I think you should do it every day. If you're even falling between 70 to 110, do it every alternate day. But if you're falling between 110 and more than above, I think you can do it just 1 month before your prelims. That would work for you. So you have to analyze yourself for every subject, even for mains. First check yourself that where do I stand. Only then you can make a roadmap for yourself. Maybe you're very good in CSAT, but you keep doing CSAT every day. That does not work for you. Okay. Anyone else? I think that's it.
How do you manage time every day when you got depressed?
So time management, I think people who have been staying here in OR, and for them it becomes more difficult to manage time. So that is why I stayed at my home. So I stayed like a paying guest in my home. My mother used to give me food 3 times a day, knock at my door, just keep the food, and I did not even come out for those 7-8 hours. But after it was like a job I was doing. So after my 9 to 5 has been completed, I'll just go back, have fun like a normal human being. In ORN, I stayed 20 days for mock interviews, and I was very disheartened to see the amount of time that gets wasted here. Let's say even if I go to have coffee in the evening, I'll go at 5 p.m. in the evening, I'll come back on my room at 10, because every 2 minutes later I'll meet some friend or the other and we'll just chit chat and a lot of time gets wasted. See, you're in that age, you have to make friends and everything. Your mental health becomes very important, I get it. But talking to friends and who are not contributing to your preparation, it is not required. You can politely deny wasting time there, sitting at a coffee shop and enjoying. Even I had a lot of fun sitting at that coffee shop and having all those cakes and pastries, but I totally try to avoid it. So make good friends, very good friends and family who you can talk about everything. Trust me, prioritize your mental health. It's a long game, 2 to 3 years minimum. I started in 2020 and it's 2023 May. It's completed 3 years. And you will not be able to sustain if you are not happy in this preparation. Definitely have a good support system that supports you in everything, but not waste your time. You know in your heart when you are wasting time standing at that tea stall, you know it in your heart that I am wasting my time. That was the time to complete one chapter of Lakshmikant. But you are still wasting your time because you do not want to offend your friend. No. Don't do it. Take a call for yourself. Be strong. You will have to take so many strong decisions in your life. If you can't start with this one small decision, then it would really become difficult. Okay. Okay. I think we are done. So thank you everyone. I'll just share whatever other videos and strategies I can with you all. That's it. Thank you so much.